Over the years, the business of freight brokerage has become something of a myth magnet, soaking up misconceptions left and right. Misconceptions that might not necessarily be true. Luckily, where the lines between fable and reality intersect, ATS Logistics is here to give you the information you deserve, the information you need. And so, we invite you to join us for a special presentation of Beyond the Road, Mythbusters Edition. Welcome back to a special episode of Beyond the Road. I'm Eli. Joining me today is Crystal Lahr, a sales director with ATS Logistics. Crystal, are you ready to bust some myths for the fine folks at home?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So freight brokerage misconception number one is that freight brokers are motivated to increase their margin on every load. The fear here is based on an understanding of the way that freight brokers make money, right? And they're going to upcharge you to turn a profit at your expense and kind of gouge you unfairly because you need their service to find a truck.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of different shippers think that freight brokers charge absurd margins and take advantage of them just to make a profit. When in reality, although they do have to make a margin to keep the lights on and to be compensated for the value that they do bring, it's not advantageous for a broker to gouge or overprice if they want repetitive business and a long-term sustainable revenue flow from an individual shipper.
Okay, so with a good broker, you don't have to worry about being price gouged. Good brokers are instead looking to make $10 on 100 great transactions instead of $1,000 on one transaction.
Perfect. You totally hit the nail on the head with that one.
Do we have any more information on this topic?
I do. We have an actual blog really focused on how a broker actually makes money.
Yeah, check out that blog for more information on how a freight brokerage makes money. The name of the blog is How Does a Freight Brokerage Make Money? Okay, so myth number two, you won't get quality carriers when working with a broker. The fear here is that a broker will just take whoever they want, any old carrier off the street, regardless of safety scores, reliability history.
That is a very, very common thing that we hear in the industry. But again, when working with the right kind of broker, they're going to make sure that they've got a vetting process, that they pick the right carrier to come in every time. Not only do they care about your reputation and getting your goods from A to B on time, safely, all of the things that matter to them, but a good broker should care about their own reputation. And so choosing who they work with to represent their shippers is incredibly important to them.
Right. And safety in the transportation industry, it's really non-negotiable, right?
Correct.
So if you have concerns about your own broker's safety practices or safety practices of any of your transportation providers.
Or their carrier vetting process.
I mean, do we have anywhere we could point them for something like this?
We sure do.
We do.
Yeah, we've got a lot of great information on how you can understand better who your broker is and what their vetting process is behind their carrier selection.
We do. We actually have one article in particular that will help you better understand a freight broker's safety protocols and what you should be looking for in a partner. And it's called How Should a Freight Brokerage Monitor the Safety of Its Carriers? I invite you to check it out. Myth number three is the fact that a freight broker isn't able to hold its carriers responsible, the carriers in its network responsible, if they are to fall through or show up late or damage some kind of freight in transit.
What happens is a freight broker who has good buying power and relationships within the industry and the carriers have a mutually beneficial relationship, meaning that the carriers want to satisfy and make whole the broker and their shippers that they represent. So it's very easy for a freight broker who has deep carrier relations to hold them accountable and make sure that their follow through and commitment is at the expectations of their customer.
Right. So reliability, once again, is a huge thing in the transportation industry.
A good broker should be a broker of choice, not only with their shippers, but also with their carriers.
Right. A freight brokerage's carrier selection process does matter. And do we have a piece of content that we could point them towards that kind of help them understand how does a broker, build and sustain a reliable carrier network?
I think that sounds just like the title of a blog that we may have. We have an article on how does a broker build and maintain a reliable network that I think would really dive into the details on this topic a little further.
Yeah, it's information that you need, it's information that you deserve, and we care about you here at ATS Logistics. Okay, so myth number 4, Crystal, is the fact that it might cost more to work with a freight brokerage than an asset carrier, someone who possesses their own trucks. And most freight brokerages, they simply don't. They're a third-party service provider.
So I think in an earlier myth, we actually talked about how a freight broker has to charge more than they're gonna pay your partner carrier to make a profit. So how does that relay to a cost savings to a shipper? And it's simply put that there's a lot broader truck reach for a broker. If you're working purely with an asset provider, you're really limited to the truck capacity that they may own, where a freight broker can help leverage a much broader network and give you one point of contact. So that soft cost of actually having to reach out to multiple people can save you a lot of money and time and energy back at the office.
So when it comes to your money, right, your transportation dollars, that you want to take them as far as you can, a freight brokerage can actually help you do that more so than an asset carrier in the fact that they can find you the right truck in the right area at the right time at the right price. So myth number 4 actually has 4 rights. We are over halfway through our Mythbusters series. How you doing? You need a water break?
I'm hanging in there.
You're hanging in?
I do.
You do need a water break.
Myth number 5, bring it to us.
Is this even a myth? How'd this get in here? The 5th myth that we will be talking about is the fact that brokers won't stand by their quoted rates. The rate they give you up front, it's not necessarily what they need to get the job done, and they end up coming back to you for more money on the back end when you're not expecting it, right? You've planned out your budget, you've budgeted according to what they've told you, but sometimes a broker might come back asking for more money. Is this like a universal truth when it comes to freight brokerage?
It's a great way to put it. Is it a universal truth? Because a lot of shippers do run into this. They run into a broker and they come back and they need more money on their shipment, or they're unable to stand by their load and they pass it back. I think there's a difference, and you can catch it really early on in your broker vetting process. If they have the financial stability and they have the reputation to stand behind the rate that they quote you the first time, to make sure that they protect your customers' needs, your reputation, and the service that you deserve. So I definitely would bust this myth. I do think you may run into some brokers who don't stand by their quotes, but that is not an industry standard.
Right. And good brokers, they will price to execute, right? They'll give you the price of the service, what it's gonna take to get you the truck that you need in accordance with your time frames, right? I know that a lot of times that cheap rate that you're given by maybe an inexperienced, unreliable broker can seem like the right way to go, but in the end,
have a ripple effect and cost you a lot of money.
Yeah, we've seen it a lot. We've seen it a lot here at ATS Logistics where shippers have taken that low rate initially, but then in the end have to come in and we have to kind of supply a solution last minute.
I think we do have an article on that, right, Eli?
Yeah, we do. It's what is the real cost of cheap freight shipping, right? If you buy that bean bag at Kmart, it's gonna fall apart on you.
There's still Kmart's.
Not where I live. If you take the cheapest rate, that's gonna translate to the service you receive. So check out that blog on what is the real cost of cheap freight shipping. Okay, so myth number 6 is the fact that a brokerage will respond slowly when things go wrong. And in a fast-paced industry like transportation is, your supply chain can't wait.
No. I think where this myth kind of stems from is, one, in transportation, any logistics transportation professional knows that we're in an environment where something can and will go wrong some of the time, right? We got man, machine, and weather when we're talking trucking. And it's really easy to ghost somebody if and when something goes wrong, and that happens. That really does happen to some of the shippers out there, and so they get this misperception that if I work with a broker, I'm going to be ghosted when something goes wrong. That's just not the case. Good brokers will have protocols and things that they do when things go wrong, because in our profession we like to say that we're professional problem solvers, and when those issues arrive and there is crisis, we're here to step up and help where we can. So
right. At the end of the day, freight brokerage is a service provider.
Correct.
And you're only as good as the service you provide. That said, we do understand that sometimes a broker will fall through. Any transportation provider will fall through. Things happen all the time. To give you some insight into what you should do in these situations, though, Crystal and I have a little surprise. It's another blog. We have an article on why do freight brokers fall through and how to hold them accountable when they do. All right. Myth number 7. Lucky number 7. Not so lucky for this myth, though. Freight brokers can't offer the same load tracking capabilities as an asset company. I know that a lot of the time that load tracking capability has to come from the cab of the tractor itself. And since brokers are the third-party provider, they might not have access to those things. And I can understand why some people would, heartily believe this myth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that there is a little bit of truth, right? A broker doesn't own the trucks, so we don't have direct access. But there are definitely a lot of technologies and emerging things that a good broker probably has multiple different tracking technologies to support their customers and their carrier base for whatever works. But there's definitely many ways that you can get great visibility of your trucks from a broker. For instance, there's MacroPoint, there's some ELD integrations, customer portals help give access. So there's a lot of different ways that we can get it, and then we can also send it back to the customers. So definitely something that you can get from a broker, and a myth that I would wholeheartedly bust.
Right. If you're looking for a transportation provider that can step in, right, and monitor your load, use load tracking capabilities, and step in when they are seeing a delay or a problem occur, that's the kind of visibility that a freight brokerage utilizes and can give to their customers. For a bit more information on the load tracking capabilities of the freight brokerage and how they provide them to their customers, Crystal has an article.
Right in the ATS Learning Hub, you can find an article on load tracking for freight brokers. We'll get you the link for that one, but it's a really good read to take a deeper dive into this subject.
Yeah, and like you said, I feel like we busted this one. Firmly.
Busted?
Busted.
Well, that was... You don't like high fives?
COVID.
Oh, Christ.
Our last and final myth. Crystal, are you ready for it?
Number 8, bring it on.
Freight brokers aren't efficient in finding truck capacity. This is something, that I've heard from shippers. You heard this from shippers?
Yeah, I have heard definitely a lot of hesitation in the process of how brokers find truck capacity and what their reach is. I think the inefficiency comes from the thought that all brokers are created equal, and they're not, right? Some brokers are cradle to grave, meaning that they book the shipment with the shipper and then they also have to secure the truck capacity, where some larger brokerages or more established brokerages have separate sales and operations or carrier representatives. So that truck capacity and finding it and sourcing it, the right trucks, is dedicated by a specific unique team within the environment. And so those ones tend to have much more efficient processes for finding the truck capacity that their customers deserve.
Like you mentioned, there are many types of freight brokers, and we do have an article on this. What are the different types of freight brokers, including the advantages and disadvantages of working with each? And you might want to add multiple types to your supply chain.
Yeah.
We've busted some great myths during this little series.
It's over. Yeah, myth number 8 came and gone quick.
Yeah, it did. But we aren't done helping you. We've put together a checklist, a freight brokerage selection checklist of 26 questions that you should ask your next freight broker.
When selecting your next freight broker, that checklist can come in really handy. Whether you work with somebody like ATS or somebody else different, we want to make sure that you have the right tools to select the right fit for your network. We're not all created equally, and there's pros and cons to lots of different types of freight brokers out there. So hopefully this tool you can find some value in and make sure that your selection process goes smooth.
Yeah, if you don't select the right one, these myths could become reality.
Yeah.
So should we do a final high five? Myth busted high five.
I didn't think I was going to get one.
Busted! 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 Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you found this content to be helpful, subscribe to our channel and check out some additional pieces of content.